Hello again, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We are headed for the Pacific coast of Vancouver Island, Tofino, Uklulet, Pacific Rim National Park. We'll hike the Wild Coast Pacific Trail. Come along, let's see what that part of the country is like. The road out to the Pacific coast from Port Alberni is a good two-lane highway. For the most part, the shoulders make the drive quite comfortable, although to park on the shoulders would be tight in a lot of cases. However, like you can see here, nice scenic, enjoyable drive. We ate lunch here at the one but spacious rest area that is right along the highway. Along the highway, partway between Port Alberni and the coast, you come across a rainforest where you just have to stop. It is called Cathedral Grove. I have been to the jungles of Africa and Mexico and Panama, and I have never seen more dense and lush growth than in Cathedral Grove or in other places along Canada's Pacific coast. At times the traffic gets crowded, as you can see here, but nevertheless, it would be an unwise decision to not stop. You can stop right along the highway. Pathways through the rainforest are well groomed, and there is really no danger in getting lost. In the early days, people built plank roads across the soft muskeg areas, and they lasted for many years, but they're all gone now. Look at the size of the tree compared to the girl standing in front of it. When you look at the rainforests across the world, on the positive side, about a quarter of all the world's rainforests are in British Columbia. These are temperate rainforests, a bit different than the tropical rainforests that are closer to the equator and a little warmer. But because these temperate rainforests here are further north and are cooler, the plant decomposition is slower. This slower process creates a richer and more lush vegetation base. And this is what we enjoy when we walk through a BC rainforest. Bright yellow skunk cabbage flourished in wet areas. The strong aroma from this plant alerts insects and squirrels and birds that spring is here. Bears will eat the skunk cabbage, which then serves as a laxative to get the bears going again after a winter of hibernation. And these plants will live 80 years. These are a few more pictures of the pathway through the rainforest that we walked through. Just look at the moss that grows on this stuff. Closer to the coast, we ran into road construction that was widening the highway along one short strip. By the time, however, you drive the highway, in all likelihood the construction and the rock blasting and the widening of this section of the road will be complete. It was not a very long section at all, but actually quite interesting to drive through. There's no doubt it was a tight section, but it's all part of the traveling business. And, you could not fall off the road into the lake below because of the barriers there that you can see. These were some guys scaling the cliff in order to set dynamite charges up above to blast the rock away. We turned right at the T intersection and went to Tofino, named after the Spanish seaman who charted much of the Pacific coast. Here is the small harbor, where boats and planes run tourists and surfers to Mears Island and other nearby places to hopefully see bears or whales or big storms. The town usually is crowded and full of restaurants and specialty tourist shops. Tofino has its share of artists, including Roy Henry Vickers, maybe the most well-known Indigenous artist who owns this big gallery on Main Street. This unique bench on Main Street was carved from a huge tree that had to be cut down due to the new urban expansion. Tofino often is crowded for space and did not seem to have much space for RVs. Vehicles often parked bumper to bumper, and these signs were all through the central downtown area. Therefore, we headed for Uklulet, back down the road. It was a little more room, a little less high-end tourist-oriented, a little less expensive, and a little less congested. The tides rise and fall along the coast, and at Uklulet here the tide is out, and the boats are almost sitting on dry land. And here's the same photograph when the tide came in. Water, water everywhere. There's the same harbor and the same boats and the same look at the same area. There is easy access to the coastline Wild Pacific Trail from several places in Uklulet. Don't let the trail name scare you off. It is really a pretty tame, easy coastal path rather than a wild trail. There are several entrances and exits along its route over its 9-kilometer total distance. And there are several really great coastal views. As you walk north from Uklulet on the trail, it really gets into some rainforest areas, but access is again very easy and accessible with boardwalks. It's easy walking and just a whole interesting place. Just look at these tree roots, how they bend and really make an arch. And here's a handrail made out of another tree root, and the colors in the rainforest was really something else again. Thick moss. Look at this bench and the moss that has grown on it. And the moss tends to grow on the north side of the tree trunks. There are concerns and conflict over the rainforest. Less than 10% of the world's land surface is rainforest. The rainforest on Vancouver Island coasts is less than 1% of the total area. Also, 3/4 of the productive rainforest on Vancouver Island has been logged. I remember being in Tofino years back when they had quite a conflict over the rainforest logging. And I said to my wife, you know, we're here, we should go down and see where this protest movement is occurring. And we asked some people and they said, just go down the block, turn to the left and walk another block and you'll see a little building down there. So we did that. And we walked into this abandoned one-room schoolhouse. And there was an older couple there with a few pamphlets and a few posters on the wall and not really much for action or much going on. And I asked them about the rainforest logging protest, and they said, would you like to have a few pamphlets? And they gave them to us. We thanked them and made our way back to the camper. And on the way back, I said to my wife, you know, those people sitting in that little building, they have no chance whatsoever against big government, big industry, you know, just no chance whatsoever. Well, I was wrong, as you know. They had a tremendous influence and they stopped the logging in this area. So if you just never know how things will turn out, but if you are dedicated and you have a cause, look out. Those kinds of people can move mountains. We drove north toward Tofino along the coast to the Pacific Rim National Park and Long Beach that's in the park. I made a video on the biking section of my website on biking on this beach and the sand. And I can tell you that I am an absolute expert in riding a bike on the sand. It takes a lot of skill and talent. A lot of people come to ride the surf at Long Beach. These people are doing some exercising before they go out, and here are some people carrying their surfboards. It is a place for surfing, and here's some people out in the ocean. In addition to signs like these, there was also a large electronic board that kept surfers aware of current and changing conditions, kind of up-to-the-minute information. This was a list of factors that surfers had to be aware of: unpredictable waves, sudden beach flooding, rip currents, and floating logs. Ocean surfing requires more than just skill. It also requires considerable knowledge. Okay, we've wrapped it up in the Tofino area here on the Pacific coast, and we're going to jump in the camper and head toward Campbell River. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button. That'll tell you when we're bringing more videos onto the internet. And this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We're going to see you down the road.